Good morning and welcome to Coffee with the Pastors. So glad that you can join us. Invite you to grab your coffee or your beverage of choice as we gather together and have some conversation about things that are happening at Trinity. Oh my goodness, August. I mean, really, where did the summer go? Where did the 6 years 11 months go? um Talk about time flies when you're having fun. So we have been having some fun here in August with some events. I had a delightful time with the seniors and their summer coffee gathering, and we had some donuts in church on Sunday, and we've got the 150th anniversary barbecue and concert coming up. So yeah, August is full and the summer is slipping away. So I hope everybody is having a good time. But I think the question on everybody's mind is, what's happening this fall, right? And so that's where Coffee with the Pastors comes in, where you kind of get the inside scoop on some things that are happening. So Pastor Dan, do you want to tell us about the fall a little bit?
Yeah, you bet. So I think we wrestled a lot with what to do around the worship schedule this fall, right? I think early in the summer, to be totally transparent, I think we thought maybe now is the time for us to rethink 4 services a weekend at Trinity. I think even prior to the pandemic, there were some services, I'll say that I think we recognized maybe weren't as big as they used to be. With the adding of the online service that was planned before the pandemic, but certainly has become significant now during, we've seen some shift, I think, in the ways that people engage in worship. I think total numbers, probably as many people as we've ever had in my 11 years each weekend with us during those hours of worship. But the number of in-person people obviously is lower, and that reflects, I think, a trend in a lot of different areas, not even just church life, but just all over the place. There's kind of a realignment, to use the word that Pastor Kevin has been using here the last couple weeks, right? Things are shifting around. So I think we wrestled with the worship schedule, but ultimately kind of landed on, I think it would be helpful for us to return to a pre-pandemic schedule, allow everyone that opportunity to attend the service that they attended before the pandemic. And really, I think for us to have a really clear picture of where we are at in terms of how people are engaging around worship. There's no better way to find out where people are at than to have all of the options that we had prior to the pandemic and just see. And I think it'll be really interesting. I would anticipate that some of the in-person attendance will be smaller. I think we can just be ready for that. And that's okay. That's okay. I think one of the things that we're really going to have to watch, not only in terms of worship, but really across our life as a congregation this fall in particular, is the support teams that help events happen. And I think that's going to be one of the challenges as we move into this fall with worship. Do we have the ushers that we need to really welcome people well to worship? Do we have communion servers, lectors, altar guild, all of those really crucial volunteer roles that help support worship? That may be as telling in terms of what we do with worship going forward as even the number of people in the pews. So our plan right now is to go back on the weekend following Labor Day. So it'd be September 11th and 12th. That weekend, we will be back inside on Sunday morning, just like we would in a normal year. We'll have 8:15 and 9:30 traditional services in the sanctuary. 10:45 will be a contemporary service in the sanctuary. And the 9:30 service will become the live stream service beginning on September 12th. So kind of mirroring what we've always done with KCMR radio. That's our thinking. I think that the 9:30 service during the program year has always been the radio service. It'll be the live stream service going forward.
It's been a real interesting process to think through, because I know at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was like, okay, this is our opportunity to change up the worship schedule and maybe do something different with it. But the further we got into it and the more that, it's just become kind of who are we now and what will this look like? It seems to me to make a lot of sense to just kind of go back to what was, not because that's going to be forever, but because how else do we evaluate and move forward? But I agree. I think that's thinking worship and what's best for the congregation. It's really the other factor is do we have the volunteer base to really go back to what was before the pandemic? That's a whole nother question, and something we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear myself saying to you guys too, oh no, I think we should go back to what we were doing as the wise thing. But I think part of that is just as even I've started thinking in whole bigger church terms now than just Trinity. But for everybody, I think there's a sense of we need to take a breath, we need to pause and really figure out where are we in this. We're in a different place than right before the pandemic. And I think sometimes we're always in a rush to get to the next place, but I think there's just maybe some time to pause and say, okay, let's just see where we are and regroup and then make some wise decisions, take our time to get to the right place at the right time, rather than try to rush to something and then find out it's not the right thing. So yeah.
There's a certain reality around change management too, right? Like I think there were a number of things that happened this summer that probably shifted the situation for us. I mean, one of them honestly was your election as bishop.
Yeah.
That made us go as a staff, boy, we have a lot of changes now to manage and things to cover and energy that needs to be expended that we weren't anticipating 3 months ago when we were looking ahead to this fall. And knowing too that even though maybe thinking about the Sunday worship schedule and what it might look like long term is the right thing and the smart thing to do, there would be dynamics to manage around that too if we were to do that change this fall. And I think we're being wise in saying, how much change can we manage? And how much energy do we have to be able to really do that well? Because in the end, that's what matters, right? We want to make sure that the ministry is cared for as we kind of walk through it together. So yeah, I think that's spot on, Kevin. I think it's often about getting to the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I like your language, Dan, of walk through it together. That's really what this time is about for all of us, walking through it together and in the midst of change, figuring out what are the best next steps to do well.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when everything else in your life changes, you really like those things that don't. There's a little bit of, you've just moved to a new town, but boy, you're still going to go get, coffee on Saturday morning with your spouse because that's what you've always done, right? There's kind of a rootedness that happens in that. I feel like maybe that's a little bit for us with the worship schedule this fall. Let's just go back to what's familiar there, even though we know it won't be quite the same.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the other piece that's happening that probably people are wondering about, and the big weekly thing that happens at Trinity is Wednesday Night Alive, of course. And Wednesday Night Alive has become such a staple in our weekly rhythm from September through May or through April. And I think a lot of folks are asking, is that going to happen? What's that going to look like? And kind of along the same lines, I think we want to get back to that this fall, to get back to those Wednesday evening gatherings around learning and community. But I think, again, we're kind of gauging with the rise in the Delta variant and not knowing what that looks like. And again, looking at the people that it takes to pull off things like that and not being quite sure where everybody is at in terms of their willingness to help with that. We're going to do an adapted Wednesday Night Alive for this fall. We are not going to have the meal at the outset, probably waiting at least until early 2022, I think, to start the meal again, just because of the work and the dynamics around managing that. It's a little bit different. But we are going to offer some adult education this fall. So a chance for people to still come on what has become our main hour of learning during the week for adults is definitely on Wednesday night. So we're going to have some great offerings for adults. Some of our small groups are going to be meeting. Confirmation will be a part of that rhythm. Choir, the Trinity choir will be a part of that rhythm. And so we'll have some of those pieces on Wednesday Night Alive. But I think at least at the outset, we're not going to be doing the meal going forward, in the hopes so that we will be able to get back to it, hopefully even this year, because we know how valuable that is, that time of coming together around food and around fellowship together.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me, because I mean, we want to keep being able to gather, but it's a lot easier to gather people safely around a program event versus a meal event. That just adds a whole nother dynamic when you put eating, and if we would have to be masking, we could have programming and wearing masks, but then you can't eat with a mask on. So yeah. So I think it's a nice, once again, a kind of a nice compromise, a nice way to kind of figure out where we're at with all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the other piece, I mean, talking about Wednesday Night Alive, I mean, confirmation has always been a big part of Wednesday night, even before Wednesday Night Alive existed at Trinity. Pastor Kevin, you've overseen, helped guide and shape confirmation in your almost 7 years here, and probably there are some people wondering what's going to happen with confirmation now that you're leaving. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we actually have kind of 4 classes still in the works. We had decided early last winter, I think February or so, that the class that would have been confirmed in May, we just weren't at the place where vaccines were out and people were feeling comfortable gathering in large groups yet. So we had decided and rescheduled that for September 26th. So those will be kind of 10th graders, actually, when they start school again here in a couple weeks, or next week, I guess. And so Marcy Colvin has graciously agreed to help them get ready for their worship. We've done all of the other prep work, the classes, the mentor program, and the interviews with them. And the only thing that's left for them to do is kind of worship prep, the picking a theme, the banner making, and deciding what kids are going to do what in worship and assist in different ways. And she's done that for so long that she has graciously said that she would help with that. So she'll be reaching out to that class and scheduling a time to meet and to kind of do some preliminary planning and get most of that done. I don't think it'll be too much other than a meeting and then some help with the banner. So that's where that is. The current will be 9th graders have been doing the mentor program this summer, and I've started getting some of that paperwork in with those kids that have gotten it done. There'll also be some of those students that wait till the last possible minute to turn that in.
No, what?
Yeah. I always encourage them to do it before high school starts because there's so much going on in the fall as high schoolers. So, but it's just the way it is. So we're looking at a November worship service to confirm those kids, in part because I've been wanting to get that to the fall, so that they can be high schoolers. They kind of end up in this nebulous land of I'm in confirmation, but I'm in high school. Which one am I, and so we're going to set up the interviews, or they'll set up the interviews with you and maybe some other people just to do those interviews. And then it's just worship prep again to get them ready in November for that. So we'll actually have 2 confirmation classes this fall, which is kind of an exciting thing to think about. And then the 7th and 8th graders, I'm looking for a person. We still have to make some contacts and someone to lead that for the fall until someone comes in my position for now. But we're still also looking for that director of middle school ministries. I think there's someone in our congregation in Trinity that is going to be wonderful at this. to just do some of that administrative work, to maybe gather the students and start them on highs and lows and on the Faith 5 program, and not necessarily have to do any of the teaching, but to schedule who's coming in to do the teaching, you know, which is it one of you, one of the other, whoever the new pastor is, or maybe some of our retired pastors, or I think there's some weeks where you could use lay people from the congregation that have, you know, specific gifts and passions for some of these things. So that's really what we're looking at, is someone who can be there on Wednesday evenings, do a little prep work beforehand, someone that can be around on Sunday morning to help the acolytes and the crucifers kind of just feel comfortable getting started with worship, those kind of things. So it might be you, right? Somebody out there listening. And so, or you might know somebody. So I'd encourage you to call Pastor Dan, and it would have been me, but I won't be able to do that now. So I'm kind of sad about that. I think the other thing, that will be starting up this fall as well. What that looks like is a good question. I think families are just going to need to be patient to think about, you know, what does that look like if it's in person, if you're not comfortable in person. You know, how do we do an online or a hybrid or an optional kind of a thing? But that'll have to be figured out. And I think just the last thing around the youth, our search committee continues to do some interviews. We had one last week, and we're following up on some stuff around that. So I don't have any news at this time, but I would feel really good if by the end of August, which is my official end date, that I would have some news to share with the congregation. But we'll have to wait and see, doing due diligence and following up on background checks and references and stuff like that. So yeah, so I think there's some good movement, and there's a bright future for the youth ministry at Trinity. I'm excited as you know, Bishop-elect to see where that goes, and see how it grows in those areas. So yeah.
Like always, there's some things that we know, and then there's some things that we don't know, right?
Yep.
And there's stuff happening in between.
Yeah.
Oh, but I also like that advertisement that you did there. That's like, we should all be going, is it you?
Yeah.
Yeah. For that middle school position there, it's like, wow.
Yep. We have some wonderfully gifted people in the congregation, and I think there's someone who's maybe thinking it might be them, but maybe they need someone to give them a nudge and say, you should call, or you should give the pastors a nudge so that we can give them a call and say, you know, people think that you might have those gifts, and it's just a matter of finding who that person is, and having some conversations about what that looks like. And I think it'll be a really rewarding ministry and thing to be a part of at Trinity.
Well, and that's a beautiful segue into how we are bringing in some incredibly gifted people new to staff, and how exciting that is for us in the midst of all of these things. And so we wanted, especially at this Coffee with the Pastors, to have our Ashley Morrison come join us and be a part of this Coffee with the Pastors. Hey, Ashley.
Hello.
Hey.
So glad to have you with us here. This makes Coffee with the Pastors especially fun to have you join us. So Ashley is, tell me your official title, Ashley. What is it?
Administrative Assistant to Communications.
There you go. All right. I asked her that the other day, but you know, I'm not big on titles, so thank you. But anyway, we've been excited to have Ashley. She has taken the position that formerly was held by Jane Wagaman, and there was some crossover time, and now she's been official on her own for how long? Has it been a month? More than a month?
Yep.
A month. Great. great. And she is doing a good job. So if you don't know Ashley, this is this thing where I used to say, you know, you get the inside scoop. So, it's easier than standing up for a half hour and telling your life story, which
I've
is
heard
what
about that.
used to happen.
I
So
mean, you didn't have to do a PowerPoint.
yeah.
No, I
I had
am
to do a
very
PowerPoint.
thankful. You did.
Where are your baby pictures? Yeah. So,
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. My mom did just drop off my baptism certificate not too long ago. So of course, I don't have it handy, but it's somewhere in this office.
well, there you go. Well, we'll put you on the docket for when we get back to Fellowship Coffee. But meanwhile, wanted to just have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, just who you are and yeah, where you came from, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Ashley Morrison. I will be 39 tomorrow.
Ooh,
And
happy
yay! And I grew up in Plymouth, Iowa, which is about, I don't know, 5 minutes north of Nyack or so, on California Avenue. And I am married to my husband, Jonathan. We've been married for about 2 years, and we have a small dog named Cricket, who is a blue Pomeranian and full of sass. And I went to Iowa State University. I graduated with a bachelor's in art and design in 2004, and primarily worked in the jewelry industry for quite a long time, probably about 15 years or so. But we moved back to Mason and was just kind of waiting for the perfect job description to come along, and had a couple neighbors tell me about this one. So yeah, I decided to apply.
Oh, and we are so grateful. Yeah. Yeah. The jewelry industry, boy, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
From jewelry to the jewel of Trinity,
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just basically did the same thing. So web development and marketing and graphic design and stuff like that. So
Say, talk a little bit about exactly what you do for our staff. I mean, I kind of call you the digital guru now on our team, but talk a little bit about, for folks that maybe don't understand what that means, what are some of the things that you do each week?
I get any of the email communications out. So we have 2 different emails that go out every week, and then 2 more that go out once a month. And then do all of the web development. So update the website with any announcements, news, events, stuff like that. And help with the connection that goes out once a month. And lots of odds and ends, help fill in when Luann is away from her desk, stuff like that.
Yeah. Along with all the digital signage too, right? I mean, there's a lot more of that than there used to be. Yeah. But you are that person, it seems like, that when people have kind of special communication needs, you know, committees or even individual staff members, certainly they're like, Ashley, help me do this. Make this look beautiful, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly right. I send something to Ashley and say, make it pretty now, you know. Oh, but really, you know, the face behind so much of our communication, really. Yeah, that goes out digitally and like you say, the e-news, all of that stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So it's been great so far. It's been Jane did a great job training me, and yeah, I look forward to just further development of everything. So
Yeah.
Well, we can't expect you to have it all figured out in a month. So
that's good.
But we are excited because I do think you bring so many gifts, you know, and once you kind of get going and figuring out what is, then there's all the possibilities of how you can use your creativity and the skill set that we're so excited that you bring to Trinity to do things that we probably never even thought of with our communities.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah. Great.
No, I've certainly appreciated. I mean, the gifts for thinking about communications in a digital world. You know, we talk a lot as pastors about all the things that we didn't learn in seminary, right? And I think communications, particularly in this new age, is certainly one of them. So to have an expert on our staff is a real gift to us and certainly to the whole congregation. So
some of us went to seminary before digital communication.
right.
So
They had
I'm going to
computers.
give the seminary a pass on that one.
What do you mean? I mean, I went to seminary where you wrote your notes on a piece of paper.
Mine was a stone tablet, so
It is remarkable though. I mean, I remember in my first call, like negotiating for the church to get their first computer. And to think now that we have an entire staff person that does nothing but digital communication, it's crazy, even in 15, 20 years, how much.
Or on days when the internet goes out, we all throw up our hands and go, I'm going home. I got
can't do anything.
I can't work.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, we know you're busy, but Ashley, we're so glad to have you join us and wanted to make sure that people knew that you were the person that is doing this stuff, and they'll hopefully get a chance to know you better in the months and years to come. So any parting words for us?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance. And I'm very much enjoying it so far. So
great. Well, thank you for joining our team. You know, thank you for being a good neighbor, because you know you didn't mention that, but you know,
I know I'm right in the middle of you guys.
Yeah, you know, you're part of the triangle of River Heights Drive and Carolina for Pastor Dan and me and Ashley. We're all neighbors, so that's fun too. So I've even seen cricket and cricket's natural habitat of the backyard there for a minute.
Yeah. Hopefully she's not too loud. No, she's
No.
yeah, she's got her own little area out there.
She's kind of a celebrity in our neighborhood, I think, actually. I mean, she's kind of a big deal.
Oh, I know my husband keeps telling me I missed my opportunity to market her and make millions of dollars, and just tell him, nah. Nah.
Fun.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ashley. We appreciate it. And we'll look forward to getting to everybody to get to know you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, well, we got to say goodbye to Ashley that we know is staying with us, but then there's goodbye to somebody who's not staying with us here. There's the tissue.
Yeah.
He's even in his new office today, right? I mean,
I am. I brought my coffee, my travel mug, because the transition this summer has been quick. The summer's gone really fast, but it has been one of those things where there wasn't so much to do for the synod back in June, but as the summer's gone on, that's ramped up as, you know, things at Trinity have kind of narrowed down. Although kind of keeping focus on 2 jobs has been, wow, it's been a lot this summer. So as sad as I am to end my time at Trinity, I really am, because it's been a fantastic time, and working with the 2 of you has been just unbelievable and good. And being at Trinity has actually really moved me to a place where I feel like I could step into the role of bishop and succeed and do it well, and hopefully be a blessing to the synod and to all the congregations here. So I really appreciate my time with you and with the people at Trinity. It's been a fantastic 7 years, and I'm kind of happy that Amy and I can keep our membership with Trinity for the time being, as we move in and do this transition. That's going to be important for us. So I'm very thankful for that. And it's a goodbye, but not a goodbye. It is, hey, we'll see you later, in a little different way. And so I'm looking forward to the installation coming up on the 25th. We've got just some amazing people working on that, both worship service, but also the hospitality, as Trinity is just that radical hospitality, is going to get a chance to shine for the whole synod, I think. And then I'll be back for the anniversary. I know that the anniversary committee had reached out to the synod before the election and said, can the new bishop come and preach at our anniversary? And I don't think it wasn't 24 hours after I was elected, and Dan goes, so can you come to the anniversary? And I was like, it's on the calendar, but I thought I would have the weekend off from preaching, but I don't. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a fun event too. And Bishop, I'm actually in the office, as Bishop Andrea has kind of said, when I'm down here at the synod office, she thought it would be good to get the synod staff acclimated to me being in the office and me acclimated to being in the office. So I'll be starting here that week of September 1st and moving in and getting started. And she even gave me a little something to show off. This is the synod, the bishop's cross, and it belongs to the synod. So this is the cross that gets passed on from bishop to bishop in our synod as a sign of the office. We probably should have kept Ashley on. Maybe she could give us a valuation on. But I don't get this until September 1st. And then again, at the installation, then they'll, give it to me kind of in front of everybody. But I actually already have some preaching gigs in the September at some neighboring congregations that are also celebrating anniversaries. And I'll be out and around the synod most every Sunday, preaching and worshiping with our siblings in Christ and our partners. So it's a change. It's a change I'm excited about, and also a little bit saddened that I won't be able to be with you guys where there's a lot of excitement and good stuff going on too.
Yeah. It's very bittersweet for us. I thought that was interesting. We've talked a lot about being a teaching congregation to, raise up young leaders. I never really thought about raising up a bishop though.
Yeah, right. Right.
Oh, but yeah, how lovely it is that you shared your gifts with us, and I do believe that the church is better for you becoming the bishop now and sharing your gifts in a broader way with, like you say, our siblings in Christ, our partner organizations and congregations, and with us, quite honestly, that you're leaving us, but you're not leaving us. That's the weirdest part of this,
It is a little odd, isn't it?
Yeah, still living in Mason City, still keeping your membership with Trinity, being bishop. Yeah, so yeah.
I told the Bible studies on Wednesday that I might just, now that I can just drop in on the men's Bible study at 7:00 on Wednesday morning.
As a participant.
As a participant.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I won't give you guys a heads up. Just someday the bishop's going to be there to see how well you're doing.
Oh no. Will you wear that big cross too then when you come?
We'll see.
Purple shirts, big cross,
purple
miter.
The pointy hat.
Pointy hat, all of it. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not even going to know him.
I think you've brought some wonderful gifts to Trinity in your time here. I think in a really important transition time. I think about the last 7 years and what's taken place here, and to have someone of your abilities in that role here has been a huge blessing to us. I think everyone would agree with that. And I think that what's been cool for me to watch is the way that the congregation really is. They're very sad. The people that I talked to are very sad to see you go, but a lot of them are very grateful for this new call for you, and really celebrating that and rejoicing with you. And I think feeling really good about the ways that God used this congregation to help prepare you for that next call. I think that's a really cool thing. And kind of to what Kathy said, I think something that's caused us as a group of people to reflect on what God is up to in our midst, to say we really are a congregation that's maybe gifted, called, I'll use that language, called by God to be a place that helps raise up leaders for the wider church. I mean, I think we've long had that sense of connection to the wider body. That's always been important to us here, but now we're kind of living it out in a new way. And to think about the new people that are coming on staff and how we might continue to live out that calling is kind of cool. Think about. And, the other aspect, I think that a lot of us, at least on staff, talk about it. I don't know how publicly we always talk about it, but this sense that Trinity is a place of healing and renewal. I think almost every one of us on the staff had some aspect of when we arrived here of needing kind of a time of renewal and new beginnings, and we've all experienced that. And I think that's sometimes an underappreciated aspect of what God does has been doing in this congregation for a while now. Is kind of is breathing new life for people into ministry. So I don't know if that's appropriate to mention, but I just feel like it is a piece of what God does here too, which is pretty cool.
And I think those are important things to be aware of, too, and to recognize, especially as you think about bringing on new staff. That there's going to be some new, young, energetic people with some new ideas, but that are also going to need some mentoring and some supervision to help them grow into those positions and to grow into the leaders that God is calling them to be, which is just a beautiful thing for a congregation to think about. I think about the number of seminary students, even since I've been here, that have come through Trinity. That the congregation is raising up leaders that are going out into the rest of the church and doing that. And, even at my exit interview, we talked a little bit about just even the position of youth and family pastor and how many of the people who have been here have gone on to either be senior pastors at pretty large churches, or in my case, skipping that step and going to the bishop's office, or, others have been assistants to the bishop. It's been a long time that Trinity's been doing that, almost unintentionally, but has provided that place. And what a gift that is, not only to the people of Trinity, but to the whole church. And that's just a beautiful, wonderful thing.
I think sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the other thing as I reflect back on your joining us is I remember your clear sense of call to this particular role that you have been in. I remember you saying at the time, I'm not called to be a senior pastor. I'm called to be a pastor on a staff team in these particular ways, and how clear that was for you. And I think to see, though, that senses of call change, and now to see that clear sense of call, I see that clear sense of call in you to now be the bishop too. And it's a marvelous thing how God shapes that and helps nurture that and helps us realize that. And that's just really cool too, to know, that we're all called to very particular things. And then there's sometimes new things that come along, and to know that there's people out there that are particularly called to these roles that are open now at Trinity, and God will be faithful in that too. It's pretty cool.
And there's sometimes the Spirit speaks through close people who tease you for 2 years about the possibility of you becoming the bishop. I'm not looking at anybody in particular, Kathy.
And I don't know even who you're referring to, or if that possibly could be true, but I agree with everything that's being said here. Just that sense of call and what that means, and definitely that I have believed for a very long time that the Holy Spirit was calling, or at least speaking to me, saying you should, tease him and prod him a little bit to consider listening to the Holy Spirit, directing him toward being bishop. But also, I was thinking as you were talking, Dan, the sense of call as a congregation. too.
Mm.
That, you know, there is a unique ethos here. And when you look at our history, how we have truly been a place where people have gone on, been here for a while, but then gone on to serve church in some bigger ways. I remember Pastor Dwayne, the interim, you know, and just being kind of like, all these people have some kind of connection to Mason City, Iowa, Trinity. How can that be? You know, and for us to kind of name and claim that as perhaps not only our historical calling, but what we need to name and claim moving into the future, and what that looks like. But I do believe that God is revealing that more and more, that's part of who we are as a healing place, as a encouraging, nurturing place for all kinds of staff, pastors, as well as other staff positions. So yeah, it's kind of exciting times, you know, in the midst of all the change and all the uncertainty.
Yeah.
I feel very just excited about what's going on. So, but at the same time, yeah, sad to see Kevin leave us, but knowing good things are happening.
Yep. Well, I wanted to say thanks to everybody for this past Sunday. It was really a heartwarming time, and you know, again, can't go wrong with coffee and donuts, right?
There you
So
go.
I appreciate everybody's well wishes and the cards, and congratulations. And it was a really special day. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for all of your time with us, and blessings to you, and blessings to everybody who has joined us for Coffee with the Pastors today. We are excited that we have this opportunity to walk alongside together into the future, wherever God is leading us. So thanks so much.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.